Hello everyone, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. Today's video is going to be different than most of the videos we do because we're going to make blueberry jam. Now this blueberry jam is a cooked jam that's going to be processed in a water bath and it will be shelf stable. It's very different from the strawberry freezer jam we did about a month ago. In fact, let me show you. This has been in our freezer for about a month. We made this on a video back at the end of May, I believe. And it's a really easy jam to make, but it has to be kept in your freezer or your refrigerator in order for it to stay safe for you to eat. The jam we're making today does not have to stay in the freezer or refrigerator. It's a jam that is shelf stable. So this is very different from that video. If you watched the strawberry freezer jam video and you're thinking, oh, I've already seen him do this, it was just with strawberry. This is not the same. This is different. And I'll just be honest up front with you, this is a little more involved. It's not hard. If you can boil water, you can make this blueberry jam. It's just that there are a few extra steps that you have to take. All right, let's start by talking about what we're going to need to make our jam, and then we'll talk about what we're going to use, what equipment we're going to use to can our blueberry jam. For the jam, we're going to need blueberries, and we're going to need 4 1/2 cups of crushed blueberries. Now, these are whole berries. You can see they have not been crushed. In fact, they haven't even been washed. I have to wash these before we can use them. Melissa and I did go through and remove all the stems because, you know, blueberries sometimes will still have the little stem on the end of them. So we've done that, but I have to wash these. But you're going to need 4 1/2 cups after they've been crushed. All right, we're going to use blueberries. We're also going to need lemon juice. We're going to need 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. I might be able to get 4 tablespoons out of 1 lemon, but that's doubtful. I bought 2 just in case, but I might be able to get 4 tablespoons out of 1. Now hold on to your hat for a minute. Don't panic here. We're going to use 7 cups of sugar. This is jam. This is not steamed broccoli. You're going to have to use sugar. This is not something that we eat every day or that you're probably going to eat every day. It's something that you have once in a while and you enjoy it.
You use about a spoonful at a time.
And yeah, you use about a spoonful on your toast or on a biscuit. So it's okay, but we're using 7 cups of sugar, and I did measure that out with a dry measuring cup, spooned my sugar in, and then leveled it off with a knife to make sure it was exactly 7 cups. The last thing we need is 2 3-ounce packs of liquid fruit pectin. Now I'm using this box of Certo. It's a product of Sure Gel, and I really do like Sure Gel products. I think they make real quality products. So this is what I always use. This comes 2 pouches to a box, and that's what you need for this recipe. So we're going to use both of those. Now let's talk about the equipment that we're going to need. Of course, you're going to need jars. I'm using 1/2 pint jars today, but you use whatever jars you want to. Just make sure that you have washed them, cleaned them really well, and if you're going to do them in the dishwasher like I did, my jars are still in there. They just kicked off, so they're good and hot. I put mine on the sterilized cycle. You don't have to do that because we are going to boil them, but it doesn't hurt if you want to do that. I just run mine through the dishwasher and then I put them in to boil. With your jar, you're going to need lids, flat lids, and they need to be new lids. Don't reuse lids. You need the lids that will seal, and you need to make sure that you have the lids that will fit your jars. This is a regular mouth canning jar, so I have the regular lids, and you're going to need rings to put on there to tighten down. So if you have wide mouth jars, make sure you get wide mouth rings and lids. If you have regular like these, get the regular size.
That's just for the people who are kind of new to canning.
That's right. I know most of you have probably canned, many of you your whole lives. I grew up in a household where my mom and dad canned all summer and all fall. So I know many of you know this. But Melissa and I started this channel to help our kids learn. And so I know I do a little bit of teaching. I hope those of you who know what to do already will forgive me for that. You're also going to need something to pick up your flat lids out of the hot water that you're going to have them in. Now, I know that canning books now say you don't have to put your flat lids in boiling water, and I don't boil them, but I do put them in warm water or hot water just to help soften that up. And when they're in that water and you're ready to put a lid on your jar, you want something with a magnet on the bottom that will pick that lid up, so you can just put it right on top of your jar. So any kind, I think this is called a wand lid wand, I believe, but you can find these at Walmart or anywhere. Melissa, could you link these to the
I will
video?
try, yes.
Okay, so she will try to link this. Also, you're going to probably want a funnel. You can buy these also at the store. You can order them online. And they just fit right down inside your jar, whether you have a regular mouth or a wide mouth. These canning funnels fit right down in there so that you can spoon into it without spilling. You may want one of those. Then one thing you're really going to want is a jar lifter. It looks like this. And all it is a way for you to reach into the hot water and pick up your jar so it doesn't burn you. So you're probably going to want a jar lifter. Now, one other thing you might want is some kind of little mitts or something. These are made of silicone, so water doesn't soak into them. But you may want something that you can pick up the hot jars or, whatever you're using if you need that. You don't have to have these, but they do come in handy.
You're not going to enjoy this process if you burn yourself.
Exactly. And honestly, all of this is fairly inexpensive, so you should be able to buy it for very little, really. You can get a lid wand and a funnel and a jar lifter for a pretty fair price. Okay, now, the next thing. Once our jars are filled, we have to put them in a water bath. That sounds scary if you've never done it. Most people think of this being a water bath canner. And this is what I use if I'm doing pints, pint and a half jars, or quarts. It's big, it holds a lot of water, it's enormous. Has a rack in it that keeps your jars from banging around. That's what I normally use when I'm doing larger jars. But today I'm doing little half pint jars. So I'm not using that. And you might say, well, don't you have to use that? No. When you're doing a water bath, you can use anything that will hold enough water to be about 1 to 2 inches above your jars. And I'm just using this kettle. This is our soup kettle. This is what I use when I do jams or jellies. Now let me show you this. Melissa, I don't know if you can, I'll just take it out. First, you're going to need something with a tight fitting lid because you have to have that water come to a boil and hold that heat in. But you're also going to want some kind of a rack inside that kettle to hold your jars up off the bottom just a little bit so that the hot water can circulate around them and to keep them from banging around in the pan and maybe getting a jar broken. This is a rack that's out of my smallest pressure canner. You can find racks at the store if you don't have a rack, but if you have an old pressure canner, just take the rack out of it and put it in your pot. That's what I do. So that just goes right down in there, and I'll set my jars right on top of it. Now, I'm also going to have just a regular saucepan back here with some warm water in it to hold my flat lids. I'll keep that water warm before and start that before we start the canning process. Now, my jars are already in my dishwasher and they're hot. I will just move these from my dishwasher right into my water bath canner, which is also known as my soup kettle. When I get those all in there, I will put enough water in it to fill it about an inch or so above my jars. When I'm ready to fill my jars, when my jam is ready, I'll just take my jar lifter, reach down into that hot water, pick my jar up, drain it, get that hot water out of there, set it over here on I'll put it on a cutting board because I don't want to put it on my counter. I'll put it on a cutting board, fill it with jam, wipe the lid, put a hot lid and a ring on it, and put it right back in the canner. That's all there is to it.
So basically, we're just wanting to keep everything hot or warm in this process.
Absolutely. You want to keep it hot and sterile. Okay, the first thing I need to do is move my jars into my kettle. I need to fill it with hot water, get it on the stove, and get that water started boiling or at least simmering so that those jars will be ready when I get my jam ready. Now, after I do that, I'm going to come back and juice my lemon. Make sure I have 4 tablespoons. I will wash my berries and I will start crushing those and make sure I get 4.5 cups. When I crush those berries, I'm going to put those crushed berries in my kettle here, in my cooker, with my lemon juice and sugar and start those boiling. But we'll come back and do all that with you. All right, I'm going to get my jars in. I'm going to juice my lemons and start my berries.
These haven't been really pureed or...
No, they are just crushed. You don't want to just completely obliterate them. You just want to crush them up. They will continue to fall apart as you're cooking them. My 4.5 cups of blueberries are in. I'm adding my lemon juice. And by the way, you do need that lemon juice because you need this to be acidic. That will help preserve the berries and help preserve our jam after it's canned. And now I'm going to stir in our sugar. Now we'll just keep stirring that until that sugar is completely incorporated with those berries and lemon juice. We will bring this to a full rolling boil and let it boil for a minute or so to dissolve that sugar before we add in the liquid fruit pectin.
And in the meantime,
we have our lids back here.
I went to the wrong one.
Well, that's okay.
Lids are back.
We have the lids back there in our warm water. It's not boiling, it's just on low. I've got the heat turned as low as it will go.
But these are boiling.
And I have our jars in our water bath canner, also known as my big soup pot, and they are boiling. So now we're just going to bring our blueberry mixture to a full boil. As you could see from the clip that just played, Melissa's phone malfunctioned and she missed showing me stir in the pectin. I did stir in both packs of pectin, brought it back to a boil, and stirred it constantly for 1 minute. We apologize that that happened, but things like that do happen. Let's continue with the video. All right, we have both packs of pectin in. We're going to let it come back to a full rolling boil. And once it's at a full boil, we're going to start our timer at 1 minute. And then we will remove it from the heat.
You're going to stir the whole time, right?
Stir the entire time. And it is back at, well, yep, it's back at a boil. So I'm going to start my timer for 1 minute. And I will stir it the entire time. All right, our 1 minute timer went off. I've turned off the heat, and I'm going to move this over to our hot pads. Okay, here we go. Now, I need to get a, let me grab this. I need to get a jar out of the boiling water. If I can get a hold of one. I need to look down in there. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to empty out the water. Make sure it's drained well. Move it over. And we will fill it. Now you will notice there's some foam on top of this. If you want to skim that off, you can. That really does not bother me, but that's entirely up to you. We're just going to fill our hot jar. If it does bother you that the foam is on there, you can just kind of rake it out of the way. Or you can definitely skim it off if you want and just put it in a bowl or something to, you can actually eat it. It's delicious. Now I have my jar filled. I've got a little bit of white vinegar. I'm going to dab my paper towel in there, and I'm going to wipe the rim of my jar. Yes, it's hot. Make sure it's clean. Take my wand, go over and get a warm lid, put it on there, and put a ring on. Okay, now I'm just going to take my jar lifter and put it right back in the boiling water with the other jars. I'll get my next jar out and repeat the same process if I can get that in there. do need to leave about 1/2 inch headspace, which means 1/2 inch between the top of your jam and the top of the rim of the lid. This is our last one, and we got 10 1/2 pints out of our blueberry mixture. So in we go with number 10. I might have to just move that one over a hair to get this one down in there. Now, our water is plenty far enough above our jam. I'm going to start our timer for 10 minutes, and we will let that boil. When it's finished boiling, all we do is turn the heat off, remove the lid, and let it sit there for 5 minutes. And then we'll come back and show you what to do next. All right, we are taking our jars out of the water bath. Well,
They're starting to
ping. And let me tell you, there is just something so satisfying about hearing the ping of the lid as those jars seal. It's just so neat to hear them happening.
You brought them straight up and out.
When you remove them from the water, you want to get a hold of that jar and pull it straight up. Bring it over. I recommend you have a towel to put under it to catch any water. And there's another one. I hope you could hear that. Set them down. There's another one.
I think that's the 5th one.
It is so tempting to take that jar and tilt it sideways to drain the water off the lid. Don't do it. I know it's tempting. It's tempting for me. There's another one. There's also something very tempting about getting a towel or a paper towel and just dabbing the water off of them. Don't do it.
They're so hot, that's going to evaporate quickly.
It will.
I noticed the very first one you took out's already
It's
evaporated.
already dry. Just leave it alone. I promise the water's not going to hurt it if there's water on top of it. Pick it straight up, bring it over, set it down. Now, we have to leave these. Here's another one. Oh my gosh, I love that sound. We are not going to touch these for at least 24 hours. They have to be completely cooled before we move them, before we touch them, before we wash them off. You may be able to see, Melissa, can you see on this one right here? There's kind of a white, almost looks like a chalky. I don't know if that's going to show up or not.
Oh, we can see it.
Yeah, there's like a white film. Don't worry about that for right now. It's no big deal. You don't have to worry about it at all, period. You can just leave it on there. But after they have completely cooled, you can take a wet cloth, like a dish towel, a washcloth or something, and just gently wash them off, wash the lid off. Some people remove the rings and store them without the rings on them. I don't. I leave my rings on. I know. Some of you are going to comment and say, take those rings off. You're not supposed to leave them on there. I've always left them on. My mom always left them on. I'm leaving them on. That's just what we do. So, just enjoy hearing the ping. Leave them alone for 24 hours at least. There's another one. And soon, we will have jam that we can taste. Our jam has set overnight. I did wash the jars off with a damp cloth, and now we're ready to have some jam. I toasted a blueberry English muffin, and so we are going to enjoy it on the English muffin. All right, and I'm just going to stir it up a little bit, just so it spreads easily. And I want you to look at that. That just looks wonderful.
That's so pretty.
It is. And I'm going to tell you now, because these are shelf stable, they can stay on your shelf for a long time. I've had jam that has been on a shelf for years.
Except after you open it, of course.
Well, yeah, once you open it, you have to refrigerate it. But before that, it'll stay on your shelf for a long time. All right, babe, are you ready?
I am.
Wow. That is so good.
And it's perfect on that blueberry muffin.
I want you to look how nice that jam is.
Look how thick it is.
I love it. It's got chunks of blueberries in it. It's just delicious. All right, I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but that's because we did some canning, and we do appreciate you sticking around for it. If you would, we'd appreciate you going right below this video and clicking the thumbs up that just says you liked our video. If you haven't before, we invite you to click that subscribe button below the video. There's a little notification bell beside of it, and then you'll see the word all. That allows YouTube to notify you every time we add a new video, and we would love to have you come sit at our table. The way you can do that is to click that subscribe button, and then you can come for our videos every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, right below the video, you'll see a description box. It will say homemade blueberry jam or something like that, whatever the title is. In that box, if you click anywhere in that box will expand. You'll find the written recipe there. Under that written recipe, you'll see the word more. If you click it, it will expand even further. You'll find our mailing address. And under that, you will find a link to our cookbook where you can order it from Amazon. At the very bottom of the page, there's a place for you to leave a comment, and we love hearing from you. So feel free to go down there and leave us a comment. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to have breakfast, but we want you to remember that you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.